Actually,
Yes.
before we start, would you like a drop of water with your whiskey?
I'll be okay.
Are you sure?
But you can. I'll have it neat. But thank you for asking.
No,
I appreciate that.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I prefer my need too.
Yeah.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
Slàinte, all the best.
Slàinte bhá.
So,
It's a lovely cup.
good evening, and welcome to the latest episode of the Perfect Balance podcast. I am here with the Caithness sensation,
Thank you.
Albion de Quincey.
Marvellous, yes.
I am been admiring your work from afar for a long time.
I think I've noticed you.
I'm the guy that's trying to, drum up the deserved support for yourself.
Absolutely deserves support.
Because you are fighting the good fight.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
with-
one has to. So much goes on in Combat League Wrestling that I disagree with wholeheartedly.
Someone has got to uphold the sort of rules and respect and decorum that comes with professional wrestling.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because as the great Gunther/Walter has been saying for years, that mat is sacred and this sport is something that should be respected. And I feel like you are the Scottish version of that now.
Well, I try and maintain a certain level of decorum when I'm in the ring.
I could not put that better myself. And I thank you for that as a wrestling fan myself.
I certainly try and fight the good fight. I represent my team with honour and dignity, and yes, I feel as though that a large percentage of the crowd really does appreciate that, and I appreciate them when they show me the support for trying to upkeep them.
And an ever-growing support, I may add, because as you've pointed out already, your De Quincey section, as it has been dubbed, seems to be growing and growing for every show. And we are now actually filming this the night, I mean, probably when this video goes out, we'll be post Fight for the Flag, which is the fourth Combat League wrestling show of the season.
Absolutely, yeah.
And every show so far, I've been lucky enough to be able to attend every show coming up from Dundee to Thurso.
Which I thank you for, of course.
I mean, your support has been growing and growing each time, and quite rightly so.
Yeah, well, I noticed after my first match, I couldn't believe the level of support the crowd gave, considering I was unknown. No one knew who I was, what I stood for, what I represented. But as the year has progressed, I feel as though certainly more and more people have started cheering me and sort of clapping for me, and I think that is because they understand that I am trying my best to keep wrestling as it should be. And I have seen the De Quincey section grow massively in the 3 shows so far this year, and I'm hoping tomorrow's show will surpass that even. So I'm really very much looking forward to that.
Yeah, we'll just need to wait and see. Perhaps we'll get some insider footage from that.
That would be amazing. Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, so all the best for your bout tomorrow.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So we'll get into the reason why I've asked you to come on the podcast. I'm trying to not steal Scottish Wrestling Network's format too much, because a lot of the Combat League Wrestling guys have been on there before, but
yes,
I've managed to get there before them. I've jumped the gun because
so from our end of Scotland, certainly Scottish Wrestling Network have managed to interview both Conor Rose and Lad Chapman, who obviously put on
local Combat League Wrestling guys.
Yeah.
They've also interviewed other members of your roster. I think I've listened to podcasts from Logan Smith, Lucha DS, Brodie Adler, I'm afraid, as well. I mean, we'll try and not, rally up too much about her.
I understand.
She's she is what she is.
Yes, she certainly is.
And we've had other people on, I think, from the likes of Glenn Dunbar as well, been on the show.
Yes.
So
Glenn Dunbar is a phenomenal wrestler, someone I admire hugely, certainly. Yes.
And I like yourself, I think, is a man that fights the good fight.
Yes,
that should be respected for that.
Yeah.
So the coverage of Combat League Wrestling is growing all the time, and I'm just trying to put another spotlight on it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
We try our best to put on the best shows possible. At least most of our roster does, the ones who are fighting for fairness and honesty. And I believe on the whole we do indeed put on the best show possible for the great local people of Caithness and the surrounding areas. And of course people like yourself who travel from afar to come and see us perform, which we are very, very thankful for.
Right. So, like myself, obviously before you've gotten into the ring, you're a big fan of professional wrestling. This is your first year, your rookie year as a wrestler.
Yeah.
So before you got into the business yourself, when was it that you became a fan, or how did you become a fan? Take us through Albion's journey into wrestling fandom.
I didn't have, when I was growing up, I didn't have Sky Sports or anything like that, but I had terrestrial television, and it was WCW that I first started watching. The Filthy Animals with Rey Mysterio Jr., Maskless, and all of that sort of thing.
Bad guy Rey Mysterio.
Yeah,
this is proper a long time ago.
That was
very real.
That was what I really fell in love with. And Sting, which
you're a big Sting fan. We'll touch on this later. There's a great story about a younger Albion back in the day watching this thing, but we'll get back to that.
Yeah, so it was WCW, and then whenever I could, I would watch some of the WWF, as it were. When I was at friends' houses or things like that. And then, as with lots of people, and I've seen on the Wrestling Network podcasts as well, lots of people drop out at a certain age. It's not cool.
That happened to myself as well. I was a kid that dropped out probably around about sort of the late noughties, sort of 08, 09, and I came back in maybe a year or two later. So it's not uncommon for somebody to go through that. So you were the same.
Absolutely. Of course it was the same, And then I met yourself and a few other people who were wrestling fans. I think you had reintroduced yourself to wrestling maybe a year or two prior, and started getting me excited for the likes of WrestleMania again. So I started watching WrestleMania, and then it sort of got me hooked again.
I think the first show we watched together was possibly WrestleMania 30, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Because that's when Brian Danielson at the time. He was fighting against the system. He beat Triple H in the opening show, and then beat Batista and Randy Orton in the main event to win the world title.
And rightly so. Yeah. He fought the good fight.
He did,
Yeah, and rightly deserved. He got the crowd support.
Yeah.
And because of the crowd support, he achieved greatness, and I really respect him for that. That's the one that I really look up to, because of getting support from the people that matter. Certainly, yes.
There you go.
So I started watching it after then, and just little bits and pieces, just dropped in and out of SmackDown and Raw. Then NXT sort of exploded.
That was when it was going a big thing back then, wasn't it?
And then I found myself more drawn to NXT, and the characters and the wrestling involved in that, and I just started watching that.
So this would have been about the time, obviously post game show NXT. This is when it was back down into Full Sail University at the time, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
This is when you were talking like your Finn Balor, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, that kind of thing.
Just
peak NXT in my opinion.
Absolutely, phenomenal matches, phenomenal characters, phenomenal wrestling. It was everything that I thought that wrestling could be, and I sort of fell in love again, and it carried on. I think NXT was phenomenal, especially the takeovers, all the way up to the birth of the likes of AEW and things like that. And then I'm now a huge AEW fan. I tend to watch WWE pay-per-views, mostly because most of the shows are actually the build-up to the match, so I can follow the storyline, which is marvellous, because I don't follow the storyline necessarily. Don't have that much time in your life with all of the wrestling.
This is the sad thing, like life sometimes gets in the way of like not only wrestling, but maybe other interests you've got, whether it be other sports or family or anything like there's not enough hours in the day, so sometimes you do have to pick and choose. That's maybe been a criticism of what WWE been doing the past few years. Maybe, like you said, you don't have to watch the weeklies to appreciate the pay-per-views necessarily.
No.
I think there's been definitely a bit of an upturn recently in WWE.
Well, yes, I think this week's Raw I heard had 1 hour and 22 minutes of in-ring action.
Yeah, which is a lot more than what normally would happen.
I mean, I must admit I haven't watched it, but it gives me an incentive, certainly.
You think maybe I should check this out?
Yeah,
maybe
absolutely.
I should dip back in.
Yeah, because all of the best stuff is done in the ring. You can talk a good game, you can do all of that, but at the end of the day, it's what matters is what happens in the ring and who is the victor. And the more wrestling you have on a wrestling show, the better the wrestling show is. That's certainly something I believe in anyway. So yeah, I follow AEW. When it first started, I started watching Dark and Dark Elevation as well. Again, life happens, training happens, and I have sometimes dipped out of the likes of Dark and Dark Elevation, unfortunately. But it's something that if given the opportunity and time to do so in the future, something I would go into again. Because I like seeing the up and coming talent that they showcase. It's a fantastic showcase for some of the guys and girls that can be main eventers one day.
Yeah, it's like when, like, again, I mean, now it's like main event and superstars in WWE, but remember when I was watching religiously, especially back in the day, Velocity and Sunday Night Heat, which is obviously the equivalent of Dark and Dark Elevation now. And I used to love it when you maybe watch a guy try and like sort of grind and have matches every week on these shows, then even if they eventually got a match on Raw or SmackDown and did well, and you'd be like, you'd feel like, I've invested as a fan in these people.
Yes.
So to get them, seeing them getting a chance on the bigger stage, you'd be like, yes, I feel like vindicated for watching these shows.
Yes, certainly. And you get that in AEW, I believe. And sometimes I watch Dynamite, and there's someone I haven't heard of against an established star. And if they put on a good match, and sometimes they lose, more often than not they lose because they're up against a superior opponent. I still feel support for them. I still feel as though they're getting there and they're improving every time, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's nice when the fans get rewarded for the time that they put in, because like we said already, there is a lot of time that you need to put in to order to keep up with everything. I mean, you look at what let's take AEW for example.
Yeah.
You've got Dynamite, it's 2 hours. You've got Rampage, that's an hour. Dark and Dark Elevation, that's 5 hours of your life every week.
Yeah.
When you're working, like me and you are the same, we work a full-time job, and you've got various other things you need to do in your life to be an adult and get things done.
Well,
so to look at it that way, you're dedicating an hour of your life every night after your work, Monday to Friday, to wrestling. It's not always and that's just with one company.
Yeah.
So, you know, to dedicate all that time to one company, it's good when you actually get rewarded for being a fan.
Yeah.
I feel like AEW, especially in the last couple of years, has really done that. But hopefully, WWE, now that they seem to be turning a corner in terms of the way that they're being run or the way that the shows are being structured, that can only be good for the fan. Because if you've got two companies, especially working at a high level, then it's only good for the consumer.
Yes, absolutely. I read on the internet and what have you, AEW fans criticising WWE and vice versa, and I don't understand why. The more good wrestling there is from the top down, the better it is for anyone who wants to support a fantastic sport.
It's not an uncommon thing. You look at other sports like say football, for example. You'll have like a Messi camp, a Lionel Messi camp, and a Cristiano Ronaldo camp, and they'll be at loggerheads with each other for like the last 15 years, rather than just saying, can we not just think that these guys are both great and enjoy them while we're here? You look at, say, Formula 1 motor car racing, you have to be either a Max Verstappen fan or a Lewis Hamilton fan.
Yes.
Why not just enjoy these guys performing at the peaks of their abilities right now? Whereas, why can't we just enjoy, say we've got a very exciting title match to look forward to at CRW tomorrow night. Why do we necessarily have to be just Lucha DS fans or Conor Rose fans and say one's good, therefore the other one is not good?
Well, especially in the match tomorrow night between Lucha DS and Conor Rose, they're both phenomenal wrestlers, and they are going to put on an absolutely stellar showcase. Whoever the victor is, I mean, neither represent my house, so I don't have a foot in either camp. However, whoever wins out of those two, I believe, will certainly have earned their
Absolutely.
victory.
Look, Conor Rose has been a brilliant champion, I'd say, so far for Combat League Wrestling.
Yes.
And Lucha DS, everywhere he goes, he seems to have a belt.
Yes, he does.
So he's no stranger to championship gold. So you know he's going to put on a good performance. Lose or draw.
They are both known wrestlers in these parts as well. So I believe that tomorrow night half of the crowd will be going wild for Conor Rose and half of the crowd will be going wild for Lucha DS. I just feel that will make for a phenomenal experience, because at the end of the day, whoever wins out of the two of them, I think fans of one or the other will shake hands at the end of it and think, congratulations, you know, we are the winners because we saw a phenomenal wrestling match, and that's what I believe will happen tomorrow.
So now that we've sort of touched on it, we can go on further to the show. So we've talked about the championship match.
Yeah.
You yourself are teaming up with your new house captain now.
Yes, my new house captain.
RJ Cash.
Yes.
To take on your long-term rivals of Brodie Adler and Arkham.
Yes, certainly. Yeah.
What? So for people that don't know, give us some background and some info into what's been going on and why this match is such a match of such importance.
So, aside from our show in January, where the less spoke about that, the better.
If you know, you know.
That's for another time. Arkham and Brodie have been, I'll say, thorns in my side.
To say the least.
Oh, absolutely. We have fought in a tag team before. After the match, which we won, of course, they broke all of the rules, and the referee had no choice but to disqualify them. It was absolutely disastrous.
The rules are there for a reason.
Absolutely, yeah. Afterwards, they put Lego in my mouth and super kicked my face, of which I couldn't speak for a long time afterwards. And in the most recent show in May, I believe, I had a one-on-one match against Brodie Adler. Again, her house Raven, they decided to spoil the party, getting involved left and right. Logan Smith, Arkham himself, just trying to mess with the sanctity of what I was trying to achieve. Brodie, of course, is a phenomenal talent and an opponent that is worthy of anyone in Scottish or British wrestling.
She does not need to be doing what she's doing. I feel like Arkham has definitely corrupted her.
Yes, I feel as though she is a phenomenal athlete who can go on to achieve great things as long as she follows the right path. So unfortunately, I did lose that match, all of the shenanigans that went on. And my house captain RJ Cash, he's had his own sort of tete-a-tete with Arkham over the past year. So he's got fire in his belly and he's ready to go as well. So I feel as though myself and RJ, as he described us, the Cash and Tash, I believe that we will certainly win tomorrow, and we should do so in good fashion.
I hope so.
Absolutely. And I think the fans deserve to see some good, honest wrestling with the correct winners at the end. That's what I believe, and that's what will certainly happen.
And I believe that will happen too. And I will be there tomorrow night. Now, unfortunately, most of you that are watching this will not have been there. But one thing that you can do...
You should have been.
Exactly. One thing that you can do is buy tickets to Combat League Wrestling's next two shows, which are... Albion,
it's the last Saturday in October and the last Saturday in November. It's two shows in 2 months to summarise and finalise the fantastic season we've had in 2022, and hopefully in 2023 it will be equally as good, if not better. And as long as the rules are abided by and everyone has a good time, then I believe it will be.
So please join me on my journey of fighting the good fight alongside Albion de Quincey here. Let's bring some sort of honour and respect back to the art of professional wrestling.
Yes.
Let's back the man like this who fights the good fight, does things how they should be done. And I sincerely hope that justice will prevail tomorrow.
Absolutely.
And I'm backing you 100%, my friend.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
And on that note, until next time, keep it balanced.